What we got? We are up on Facebook. We are up on Twitter. Coming up on YouTube. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're up on LinkedIn, and we are waiting on Twitch. As soon as Twitch goes, we go. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Boom. I don't have a title for this, but morning read. Doing my morning reading. I just finished my other space for getting it together, and I said I'm not going to commingle the activities for my morning reads with my with that. And actually, I'm probably going to not use the name morning read going forward too, because I want to give myself the freedom to do this at any point of the day. But I know normally I'm most fresh in the mornings. It's the time when my mind is least distracted for right now. I'm working on changing that too. But I figure I'll do my reading and share that with people who might benefit from that as well. So, reading Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, because I'm in the process of rebooting myself and rewriting my personal operating system, rebooting, recoding, and I'm recording it. So, rebooting, recoding, recording. Here we go. We are on chapter 1. If you want to see the other chapters, you'll see those interspersed in my previous broadcast. They may not all be titled well, but they are what they are. Maybe if I get an assistant, I'll have these cut up and put into an actual playlist. Have the segments just with the reading put in there. But from here on, moving forward, I will just be doing the. Hopefully, this won't be bad. Ooh, Chat GPT is something I want to learn about. I forgot. I lost my thought. Let's just get into the reading. All right. So we are connected to everything in the quantum field. Like everything else in the universe, we are, in a sense, connected to a sea of information in a dimension beyond physical space and time. We don't need to be touching or even in close proximity to any physical elements in the quantum field to affect or be affected by them. The physical body is organized patterns of energy and information, which is unified with everything in the quantum field. Now, if you've been reading with me, you probably know that what I'm doing is I'm kind of thinking through and talking through some of this stuff as I read. And it's interesting to me, the physical body is organized patterns of energy and information, which is unified with everything in the quantum field. I almost feel like I have to go back and reread the book to get there. And this is where I really want to find a workflow that enables, or a routine that enables me to make sure that I stay on top of this daily. I missed a couple days, and I feel like if I do this daily, maybe I won't have to run back to catch up things, catch up with where I was, or to kind of reboot where I am in the book. So I'm going to read the paragraph again, and let's just see if there's anything in this paragraph that'll get us there. If not, I'm going to read forward. If I don't get it after reading forward, I'll go back and review it myself later. And if you want to review it, I guess you'd have to look at a previous video, because I'm not going to keep rereading right now so that we make progress. So, like everything else in the universe, we are in a sense connected to a sea of information in a dimension beyond physical space and time. Okay, not proven yet, but it's definitely been said or asserted in the book that this is the case, that there's more than just the physical world. Again, one of the premises that sticks out to me from the book is the analogy of the analysis of an atom, where they say an atom is less than 1% physical matter, and the rest of it, 99 point however percent of an atom, is energy. And if that is what makes up the things that make up us and everything, the world around us, if everything in the world is made up of atoms, everything in existence is made up of atoms, and these atoms are more energy than they are physical matter, with just a little bit of physical matter. So this body of this physical frame is less than 1% of who we actually are. So that means the rest of us exists beyond physical space. I don't know how it doesn't how it transcends time yet. Hopefully this book will explain some of that. I know anytime I hear the word quantum, though, in movies and sci-fi stuff that I've come across in the past, time travel is involved. So I'm sure we'll understand that more as we go on. So like everything else in the universe, we are in a sense connected to a sea of information in a dimension beyond physical space and time. We don't need to be touching or even in close proximity to any physical elements in the quantum field to affect or be affected by them. Again, not sure, but we're learning, right? Or we're taking in the information that's being provided, not taking it as fact. We're just taking it in. The physical body is organized patterns of energy and information, which is unified with everything in the quantum field. You, like all of us, broadcast a distinct energy pattern or signature. In fact, everything material is always emitting specific patterns of energy. And this energy carries information. Your fluctuating states of mind, consciously or unconsciously, change that signature on a moment-to-moment basis because you are more than just a physical body. You are a consciousness using a body and a brain to express different levels of mind. I rock with that. Another way to look at how we humans and the quantum field are interconnected is through the concept of quantum entanglement or quantum non-local connection. Essentially, once two particles can be initially linked in some way, they will always be bonded together beyond space and time. Interesting. As a result, anything that is done to one will be done to the other, even though they are spatially separated from one another. This means that since we too are made up of particles, we are implicitly connected beyond space and time. What we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. Interesting. Think about the implications of this. If you can wrap your mind around this concept, then you'd have to agree that the you that exists in a probable future is already connected to the you in this now, in a dimension beyond this time and space. Stay tuned. By the end of this book, that idea might just seem normal to you. That's what I'm hoping. I'm just going to trust the process. I'm not necessarily trusting the information. I'm not necessarily distrusting the information. I'm just absorbing it and taking it in. But I'm going to trust the process of reading and completing a book before forming my opinions, since I've chosen and elected this book. Weird science. Can we affect the past? That's the next section in the book. Since we're all interconnected across distance and time, does this suggest that our thoughts and feelings can influence events in our past as well as those we desire in the future? In July 2000, Israeli doctor Leonard Libovici conducted a double-blind, randomized controlled trial involving 3,393 hospital patients, divided into a control group and an intercession group. He set out to see whether prayer could have an effect on their condition. Prayer experiments are great examples of mind affecting matter at a distance. But stay here with me because everything is not always what it seems. Libovici selected patients who had suffered sepsis, an infection, while hospitalized. He randomly designated half the patients to have prayers said for them, while the other half were not prayed for. He compared the results in 3 categories: how long fever lasted, length of hospital stay, and how many just died as a result of the infection. It's interesting. I wonder what kind of authorization or what's the word, consent you have to get for doing a study like that. That's a really interesting one. Like, do the patients have to sign some sort of form? Was he doing it without their knowledge? Interesting. All right, so the results. The prayed for benefited from an earlier decrease in fever and a shorter hospitalization time. The difference in the number of deaths among the prayed for and not prayed for groups was not statistically significant, although better in the prayed for group. That's a powerful demonstration of the benefits of prayer and how we can send an intention out into the quantum field through our thoughts and feelings. However, there's one additional element to this story that you should know about. Did it strike you as slightly odd that in July 2000, a hospital would have more than 3,000 cases of an infection at once? Was it a very poorly sterilized place, or was some kind of contagion running rampant? Actually, those who were praying weren't praying for patients who were infected in 2000. Instead, unbeknownst to them, they were praying for lists of people who had been in the hospital from 1990 to 1996, 4 to 10 years prior to the experiment. Excuse me. The prayed for patients actually got better during the 1990s from the experiment conducted years later. Let me say this another way. The patients who were prayed for in 2000 all showed measurable changes in health, but those changes took effect years before. A statistical analysis of this experiment proved that these effects were far beyond coincidence. This demonstrates that our intentions, our thoughts and feelings, and our prayers not only affect our present or future, but they can actually affect our past as well. I feel like I gotta reread everything in the world just to understand this. This sounds crazy. He's saying that they prayed for people in the year 2000, but they prayed for people who had been in the hospital between the years of 1990 and 1996. So people who were in the hospital 10 to 4 years prior to this experiment taking place. And that the people in the past actually got better because of the prayer that happened 4 to 10 years after they were sick. This makes no sense to me right now. I got some thinking to do or reading. So, because how do you measure that? It's like I gotta go look up this study. I mean, he doesn't have any footnotes. Okay, he does have a footnote in here or an end note. Let's just see how we get to that. So we go to the end of the book, and it's the index, end notes, chapter 1. The study was in the British Medical Journal. It was called volume 323, 1450-1451. I guess that's the page numbers. And I guess this is an article because it's in a journal and their page numbers. And the title is Effects of Remote Retroactive Intercessory Prayer on Outcomes in Patients with Bloodstream Infection, Randomized Controlled Trial. The title doesn't mention anything about the fact that this is almost a time traveling experiment, so to speak, right? But that might be something worth looking into. The study was published on December 22nd, 2001. I'm going to need a notepad to take notes on what I'm reading in this thing, because I don't understand it. I'm not going to break now to do this, but hopefully I'll remember to come back and take a note on that and look this up, because I'm really curious about that. That, again, was in this weird science section. So, a statistical analysis of this experiment proved that these effects were far beyond coincidence. This demonstrates that our intentions, our thoughts and feelings, and our prayers not only affect our present or future, but they can actually affect our past as well. Now this leads to the question, if you were to pray or focus an intention for a better life for yourself, could it affect your past, present, and future? The quantum law says that all potentials exist simultaneously. Our thinking and our feelings affect all aspects of life beyond both space and time. Next section, our state of mind, our state of being or state of mind, when mind and body are one. Please note, throughout this book, I will refer interchangeably to your having and creating a state of being or a state of mind. For example, we say that how you think and how you feel create a state of being. I want you to understand that when I use the term state of being and state of mind, your physical body is a part of that state. In fact, as you will see later on, many people exist in a state in which the body has become the mind, when they are ruled almost exclusively by the body and how it feels. So when I talk about the observer having an effect, it is not just the brain that is at work influencing matter, but the body as well. It is your state of being when mind and body are one as an observer, which has effects on the external world. Okay. The body as well. So your state of being is a state of mind and body, which has effects on the external world. Okay. I think it makes sense. Your state of mind doesn't necessarily have to affect the world, because that can be all contained, not even in your head, right? I guess we say our mind is in our head because our brain is how we're taught that we process thoughts, or where the processing takes place, at least for our thoughts and ideas. So it's not until you express those thoughts physically in some way that they have an effect on the physical world. So until you speak, until you move, that's because movement can be communication. For example, dance, interpretive dance. Okay, I can take that. I'm gonna put that grain with me for a minute. Next, and that was just a quick short section. That was a whole section. Next one is thoughts plus feelings produce test tube results. We communicate with the quantum field primarily through our thoughts and feelings. Since our thoughts are themselves energy, as you know, the electrical pulses the brain generates can be easily be measured by devices such as an EEG. They are one of the primary means by which we send out signals into the field. Before I go into greater detail on how this works, I want to share with you a remarkable study that demonstrates how our thoughts and feelings influence matter. Cellular biologist Glenn Rain, PhD, conceived of a series of experiments to test healers' ability to affect biological systems. Since DNA is more stable than substances such as cells or bacterial cultures, he decided to have healers hold test tubes containing DNA. This study took place at the HeartMath Research Center in California. The folks there have conducted extraordinary research into the physiology of emotions, heart-brain interactions, and much more. Essentially, they and others have documented a specific link between our emotional states and our heart rhythms. When we have negative emotions, such as anger and fear, our heart rhythms become erratic and disorganized. In contrast, positive emotions, love and joy, for instance, produce highly ordered, coherent patterns that HeartMath researchers refer to as heart coherence. In Dr. Rain's experiment, He first studied a group of 10 individuals who were well practiced in using techniques that HeartMath teaches to build heart-focused coherence. They applied the techniques to produce strong, elevated feelings such as love and appreciation. Then for 2 minutes, they held vials containing DNA samples suspended in deionized water. When those samples were analyzed, no statistically significant changes had occurred. A second group of trained participants did the same thing, but instead of just creating positive emotions, a feeling of love and appreciation, they simultaneously held an intention, a thought, to either wind or unwind the strands of DNA. This group produced statistically significant changes in the conformation, shape of the DNA samples. In some cases, the DNA was wound or unwound as much as 25%. A third group of trained subjects held a clear intent to change the DNA, but they were instructed not to enter into a positive emotional state. In other words, they were only using thought, intention to affect matter. The result? No changes to the DNA samples. The positive emotional state that the first group entered did nothing by itself to the DNA. Another group's clearly held intentional thought, unaccompanied by emotion, also had no impact. Only when the subjects both held heightened emotions and clear objectives in alignment were they able to produce the intended effect. An intentional thought needs an energizer, a catalyst, and that energy is an elevated emotion. Heart and mind working together. Feelings and thoughts unified into a state of being. If a state of being can wind and unwind strands of DNA in 2 minutes, what does this say about our ability to create reality? What the HeartMath experiment demonstrates is that the quantum field doesn't respond simply to our wishes, our emotional requests. It doesn't just respond to our aims, our thoughts. It only responds when those two are aligned or coherent. That is, when they are broadcasting the same signal. When we combine an elevated emotion with an open heart and a conscious intention with clear thought, we signal the field to respond in amazing ways. The quantum field responds not to what we want. It responds to who we are being. This is where I say something like this starts to really pique my attention and make me say, okay, I want to read further. I want to learn more about this. I want to dig into this. I'm excited about what comes next. Couple quick sections. We're not going to do these long. I'm going to make these short so that we all get through this book together. If anybody else is reading with me. Also, I need to get the book to Yanni because she's awake. So I think that's a great stopping point. Thoughts and feelings. Broadcasting our electromagnetic signal to the quantum field. Maybe what I'll do is I'll debrief after I read this and take a couple notes. Probably not, but maybe I will. But for now, that's our reading for today. I'm gonna get this book back to Yanni. I'm excited about what we have to read next. So